Shalom, shalom. First off, I want to give all honor, all glory, and all praise to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Racha, Kodash, double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, GMS who rule well and teach well, double honors. Salakia. Shalom to the 144,000 and the rest of the elect, and to all the brothers and sisters tuning in. May this lesson be edifying. This is the brother Halalyum from the Great Millstone branch of Chicago. And hey, you already see what we're about to delve into. It's a whole lot of, bugged out activities going on every day, in the streets of Babylon the Great. And, specifically speaking, when there's less and less food being brought in, and these famines start hitting, things like this, what I'm about to show you in this video, will be a regular, everyday occurrence, man. But instead of it being deers, it's going to go from deers to people eating other human beings, man. Because of the lack of bread and great tribulation, like we spoke of in 2nd Ezra 15, which Lord willing will get. But without further ado, viewer discretion is advised. If you don't want to see this video, just skip ahead. But let's see what's... Man.
Bro, what the fuck? What the
It's a deer.
She eating it, bro.
Oh, wow.
Hey, you eating that shit? Hey.
They ain't gonna ask you, man. That motherfucker crazy. Shut the door, man. She come bite you. And then you'll be... Yeah, you heard dude said you sick as fuck.
Yo, I ain't even gonna lie. Yo, that's wild as shit. Yo, she over there eating a fucking dairy. That shit not even cooked. Like, this is crazy. What, in the zombies? Yo, we got zombies out here, man. Go load your guns up, y'all. This shit might be a zombie apocalypse. I think they preparing us for something.
Oh, you think it's zombies out here now? Wait until these famines hit, man. Here it is. Hey, Luke 23 and 31, man. It says, "For if they do these things in a green tree, what shall be done in the dry?" So, looking at society, if you have people willing to do things like this when there's still, supermarkets all around us, popular fast food chains, McDonald's, Burger King, if you want to be healthy, you got the, Mediterranean spots. You can go get a salad, eat some good food. People are doing activities like this, when there's still food out here. So if you think it's zombies out here now, it's going to get a whole lot worse when the Lord brings the deadly judgment of famine upon Babylon the Great. And the people of the earth are forced to, survive in any which way they can, man. And while the elect will be sustained, everybody else is going to be left to fend for themselves, man. And they're going to resort to very vile, disgusting acts in order to make it to the next day, which includes things like eating flesh of different animals that aren't cooked and other people, man. The brothers always speak on the cannibalism is coming back in a big way. In the scriptures, famine is always mentioned as, one of the major judgments that the Lord brought upon, Israel, our people, for their wickedness. But when Jacob's trouble occurs now, the elders always speak on Jacob's trouble is really going to be trouble for everybody. Because Esau, Edom, and the heathen is going to be catching hell right along with Jacob. And that woman, I couldn't really see her face like that, but from how she's built, she could have easily, walked up to one of these, simps and told her, "Hey, you think you can take me to KFC, give me a bite to eat?" But she chose to eat a deer corpse, man. You know, and judging from how her body looked, you know, 9 times out of 10, it's some dude out there that's cracking that right now. You know? It's some dude that's laying pipe to that girl right now. You know what I'm saying? Imagine you just go on Instagram and you just see a video of your girl eating a fucking deer corpse, man. That relationship is over immediately. Like, what? But these are the types of things that we're going to see in front of our very eyes as society starts to crumble down, man. And it's only going to get worse, man. And that's absolutely crazy. She didn't even care. You know, the Jakes in the car were telling her, hey, why you eating that deer? You know, she just took one glance back and got right back to eating, man. You know, the love of many shall wax cold, man. These people are, man, bro. This is Jeremiah 17:7. It says, blessed is the man that trusteth. Wait, hold on. Hold on. Hold on, it's in a different chapter. Bear with me. Oh, Jeremiah 19. It's Jeremiah 19:7. It says, and I will make void the counsel of Judah and Jerusalem in this place, and I will cause them to fall by the sword before their enemies and by the hands of them that seek their lives. And their carcasses will I give to be meat for the fowls of heaven and for the beasts of the earth. And I will make this city desolate, and in hissing every one that passeth thereby shall be astonished, and hiss because of all the plagues thereof. And I will cause them, this verse is the point, and I will cause them to eat the flesh of their sons and the flesh of their daughters. And they shall eat every one the flesh of his friend in the siege, in straightness, wherewith their enemies and they that seek their lives shall straighten them. And that verse was, you know, really the main point. You know, and although, you know, that lady wasn't eating, you know, another human being, that's what people are going to resort to, man. You know, when that hunger hits these people, and these people have gone weeks without eating, they're going to resort to acts that you never could have imagined a human being would do to another person, man. You know? This is the book of 2 Kings, chapter 6 and 25. It says, and there was a great famine in Samaria, and behold, they besieged it until an ass's head was sold for 80 pieces of silver, and the 4th part of a cab of a dove's dung was sold for 5 pieces of silver. So as you see in verse 24, you know, the king of Syria besieged Samaria, you know, our forefathers, and it got so bad that, you know, a donkey's head was sold for 80 pieces of silver, and dung was sold for 5 pieces of silver, man. So it got bad. You know, there was such a lack of food that people were willing to sell dung, you know. They were selling dung just to get some money. Verse 26, it says, and as the king of Israel was passing by upon the wall, there cried a woman unto him, saying, help, my lord, O king. And he said, if the Lord do not help thee, whence shall I help thee? Out of the barn floor and out of the winepress. And the king said unto her, what aileth thee? And she answered, this woman said unto me, give thy son that we may eat him today, and we will eat my son tomorrow. So we boiled my son and did eat him. And I said unto her on the next day, give thy son that we may eat him. And she hath hid her son. And it came to pass, when the king heard the words of the woman, that he rent his clothes, and he passed by upon the wall, and the people looked, and behold, he had sackcloth within upon his flesh. So this king was grieved to hear the story that this woman told him. you know, of these women eating their own sons. Just like that woman was eating that deer's corpse, man. And guess what? The scriptures say what? The woman is the weaker vessel. Meaning what? They're subject to temptation, you know, especially in moments of weakness. They don't really have, you know, the mental fortitude or, you know, the strength that a man possesses. So it's easier for them to give in to acts like that, man. Even now, when society is still somewhat stable, you know, in its final phases, so to speak. But I'm going to end it off with, of course, 2 Ezra 15. It says, verse 14, it says, "Woe to the world and them that dwell therein, for the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up and fight against another in swords in their hands." So the Lord is going to bring complete chaos and division upon the earth. And in particular, the Western world, Babylon the Great. You know, while people are going to be distracted with all these events going on, all these major blockbuster movies coming out, you know, the World Cup, all the distractions and bread and circuses that the elites of America have set up, little do they know the trouble that's coming upon them, man. You know, and that all these things are going to take place. And the scripture said the day of the Lord will come as a thief in the night, meaning that the Lord will come when people least expect it. And judgment is going to come upon these people when they least expect it, man. Verse 16, "For there shall be sedition among men, in invading one another. They shall not regard the kings nor princes," which in modern day, you know, the kings and princes represent, you know, the politicians, those who, you know, so-called lead the country, you know, the president and the vice president and things of that nature, you know, which we know, the men of Great Millstone, we know that the elites, international banking families are the ones who really pull the strings of these politicians, man. You know, these people don't call the shots. Verse 17, "A man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able, for because of their pride, the houses shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. And a man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation." So, hey, man, you know, as society is as Babylon society is in its final moments and all hell starts to break loose, things like what I just showed you will go from being an occasional sight to a regular everyday occurrence, man. But the scripture said what? "My servant shall eat." And when the Lord said we'll eat, he didn't mean that we're going to be eating, you know, a dead, uncooked corpse, man. No, the men of the Lord are going to be satisfied, but everybody else, they're going to go into a primal, savage, bugged out state of mind, man. You know, like that woman was. But I hope this lesson was edifying. With that, I want to give all honor, glory, and praise to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rachah Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well and teach well. Kwame Sha'Alawah Bababal. See you on the next lesson, Lord willing.